Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Hannah and today I want to share some ways on how you can avoid food waste. Now, due to the current situation of Corona, food has become quite a big topic, whether that is going to the grocery store and shopping for food, or it's simply because we're all staying at home and cooking more at home. I think it is a really good time to talk about food and food waste and ways to avoid that, especially since a lot of other sustainability things are a little bit less accessible to people at the moment because of very valid health reasons. But I think food is still something that we can very much control at the moment, and it's a really good way to get into sustainability as well. All of these tips are super easy to implement and they're great for beginners as well. And as always, take whatever works for you. In this video, you don't have to do them all at once. You do you, try your best, go at your own pace, but I'm sure there's something for everyone in here. And without further ado, let's get into the video. The first thing you can do is actually do a cupboard sweep. See what kind of foods you already have at home before going to the grocery store and purchasing new items, especially ones that are about to go bad. Make sure that you eat them before you buy new foods. If you have food that is already expired, don't just throw it away. Lots of food actually doesn't go bad or is edible way past the expiration date. It is just required to be there by law. But the easiest way to see if a food is still edible is to use your senses. My mom has taught me when I was younger to look at the food. If it still looks good, smell the food. If it still smells good, carefully taste the food. And if it still tastes good, then you can still eat it. And I have gone by this rule my entire life, and so far I've never had food poisoning. So just trust your senses, and most of the time you will actually find that you can still eat your food way past the expiration date. Meal prepping or planning your meals is a great way to know kind of what you're cooking throughout the week, so therefore you're not going into the grocery store without a clue and buying lots of things and later on you don't know what to do with them or what meals to cook with them. So being prepared when going to the grocery store is a great way to make sure that you only buy the things that you actually are gonna eat later on. If you're someone who can't plan ahead for the life of you because you like to decide what to eat spontaneously, then try to find a couple of dishes that share the same ingredients, and that way you can just buy those ingredients and you can still make up your mind on what to eat very spontaneously, but you don't need to buy lots of different things for lots of dishes and then end up wasting them because you don't feel like eating that specific dish. Using a shopping app can also really help you to be more prepared when going to the grocery store. I personally use an app called Bring. It is amazing. I recommend it to all of my friends and family. It even has like current sales offers from different supermarkets on there and some recipes. It's really great. I will leave a link in the info box below. This is not sponsored. I just genuinely really like this app. But using a shopping app, first of all, helps to save paper, so you don't have to write your lists on a piece of paper. But it also makes sure that you're going to the grocery store and you're prepared, so you know what things to buy and you don't end up walking through the supermarket buying a bunch of things that you're not going to eat later on. Eat before going to the grocery store. You never want to go to the grocery store hungry, because then you will end up buying a bunch of things because you're hungry and you won't end up eating them. I have personally bought some things like 2 pretzels and then I just only ate one. The other one went stale. I couldn't save it, so I had to throw it out and I was really bummed out at myself. So please learn from my lesson and never go to the grocery store hungry. Buy single bananas over banana bunches. Most people buy bunches of bananas and then all of the singles get left and they actually get thrown out, which is crazy to me. I don't understand. So next time you're at the grocery store, just pick all of the singles. You can buy as many single bananas as you want, but picking the singles over the bunches will make sure that none of the bananas will go to waste. Try to buy imperfect produce. Again, most people buy perfect looking food over ones that maybe have a little dent in them or a tiny bit of mildew, or they just look a bit wonky. But I promise you, a wonky looking bell pepper still tastes just as good as a perfect looking bell pepper. And nature is not perfect. Food grows the way it grows. There is no need to disregard a potato because it doesn't look as pretty. So try to buy imperfect foods, because otherwise, since most people don't do that, it just gets thrown out again, and that's just such a waste and it's so unnecessary. If you want to take this a step further, there are actually boxes that offer safe food being shipped to your door, and some services even include some seasonal grown food from local farmers, so you can support them as well as saving food from going bad. And this is a really great service, so if you have that available in your area, then you might want to give that a go. And I will leave some links in the info box for some of the services so you can go and check that out. If you have some fruit that is a bit bruised or a little bit off textured, then just use those food in things like cakes and pies and crumbles, anything that is an oven dish, because once it's in the oven, you won't be able to taste the texture anyways, and it still will taste just as great. Use overripe bananas and turn them into banana bread, banana pancakes, muffins, oatmeal, or even baked oatmeal is really great. Any kind of baking dish works really well with ripe bananas. And if you're not into that, you can just cut them up into pieces, freeze them, and then make them into banana ice cream or an ice cream. It's genius and it tastes very, very good. In general, you can freeze pretty much any food that's about to go bad or that you're not going to eat in time. That goes for single ingredients, fruits, veggies, bread, herbs, you name it, or even completely prepared dishes. So if you have any leftovers and you're not going to eat them in time, just pop them in the freezer and enjoy them at a later time. And I will leave a graphic in the info box below that you can go and check out that has a list of all the different ingredients and how long you can actually keep them in the freezer. But most things you can keep for a couple of weeks until a couple of months even. So that is a great way to make sure you're using the food that you already have and not needing to throw it out. Learn how to properly store your food. For example, exotic fruits do not go in the fridge because they're used to warmer temperatures. Things like root vegetables and potatoes are best kept in a cool and dry place. And even within the fridge, there's different levels and different ways to best store your food. Again, I will leave a graphic in the info box below that you can go and check out to see where and how you should best store your food, especially within a fridge. Be cautious of what to store with bananas or tomatoes because those both give off a gas that actually speeds up the ripening process of other fruits and vegetables. So make sure that you don't store any things that are about to go bad or are already on like the softer side with those fruits, or in turn you can also use it to your advantage if you bought something that is a little bit too hard and it's not quite ripe yet, and you can just store that with it and it will ripen faster. Store celery or carrots in a jar full of water in the fridge to keep them fresh longer. I actually just recently learned this and it works really well, and it's super genius, and it also works for fresh herbs. Keep them in a jar of water and they will stay fresh for way longer than they usually would. Use all parts of your food. Did you know that you can actually eat broccoli stems? Most people cut off the stem and just throw it out, but all you need to do is just cut off like the outer part that's a little bit hard, and the inside is very chewy and soft and so delicious, and you can just cut it up into little pieces and cook it or steam it alongside your broccoli. It's perfectly good to use. The same goes for stems of herbs. They're so flavorful, sometimes even more flavorful than the actual herb itself. You can even eat cauliflower leaves. I just recently discovered that. I haven't tried it, but apparently you can eat cauliflower leaves. That's incredible. So just inform yourself about all the different parts of foods you can eat. I think you can eat leaves from root vegetables like beetroot and stuff. Anyways, give it a quick Google search. You might be surprised on how much of your food you can actually eat. Save your veggie scraps and grow your own food with it. There's actually lots of foods that you can grow at home that are very little effort, and you can even do it in like an apartment. You don't need a giant veggie garden for it. Things like spring onion or leek, you just need to put them in a little bit of soil and they will sprout right out. And it's super easy, so yeah, give it a go. One of my favorite hacks is to make a leftover latte, is what I like to call them. If you have any jars of like nut butter, chocolate spread, anything like that, then I'm sure you've tried to scrape every bit out of them, but you can't scrape every little bit out of them. I've tried. But you can just add some hot milk into the jar and swirl it around and make it into a drink. You can even add some more cocoa powder or chai or matcha or turmeric, whatever you're into, and just make a leftover latte. It is genius. I've been using this trick for so many years. I've gotten a lot of my friends into it as well, and everyone loves it. While we're on the topic of scraping out things, please scrape out your bowls, pans, pots, whatever you use to prepare food. It just takes a couple of seconds and all you need is a spatula, and just scrape the food that you already have and save it from going to waste, because it's so easy and so many people just throw out and leave stuff in the pan, and it just makes me really sad and mad at the same time because it's really that easy. So please don't be one of those people and make sure to scrape out your bowls. And the same thing goes for eggs. If you're someone who eats eggs, scrape out the eggshell with the leftover egg white. So many times I see people carelessly just crack an egg and throw the rest away, when actually most times there is still a lot of egg white left in the shell. So please just scrape that out, because the chicken that created that egg went through so much labor to bring you this beautiful egg. So appreciate what you have and just use what you have. Also, it saves money. If you scrape out like 10 eggs, you will get that 11th egg basically for free. If you make your own plant milk at home, which by the way, if you haven't tried that, I can highly recommend it. It's actually really easy and saves you a lot of money, but you can use the pulp from the milk in other dishes. For example, oat milk, almond milk, like nut pulp, anything like that can be used in cakes, pancakes, again, oatmeal. If you make rice milk, you can use the pulp to use in more savory dishes, like rice dishes, obviously. But yeah, you can save that and still eat it, even though it might look a bit disgusting, but it tastes perfectly fine. Heat up your leftover coffee from the day before. Now I can already feel all of the baristas in the world cringing at me right now, but as someone who appreciates good coffee and really likes good coffee, I can tell you I'm not afraid to save that perfectly fine coffee, especially since it went through so much effort and it's so labor and resource intensive to make it. I'm not gonna throw that out. You can still just reheat it and enjoy it the next day. But I get if that grosses you out a little bit, you can instead turn it into some coffee ice cubes by putting it in an ice cube tray, freezing it, and then you can use that in your iced coffee later on. Speaking of coffee, you can actually turn your used coffee grounds into a body scrub by adding some oil. Olive oil works really well with that, but you can also use it as fertilizer for your plants. Just make sure you only use it on outdoor plants and not indoor plants, because I've tried using it on indoor plants and it actually grows mildew. So I had to repot all of my plants and I wasted a bunch of soil, which was not ideal. So you might not want to repeat that. Just use it on outdoor plants only. If you leave a glass of wine or a beer out overnight because you forgot about it, then don't just throw it out. You can actually still use it to flavor a sauce and the aroma will just be as perfect. It will taste so good. You won't even notice, and you saved your beautifully precious alcohol. Revamp your old bread, either by wetting it and toasting it, like in the oven, panini maker, a toaster, or cut it into tiny little pieces, throw in some olive oil and make breadcrumbs out of it. Or you can even just soak it in milk and eggs if you do eat them and turn it into some French toast. You can use the liquid from chickpeas to make vegan egg froth. I know this sounds crazy, but it actually works. The liquid even has a name. It is called aquafaba, and it foams up really well to create this frothy texture. So maybe next time you have some chickpeas, just add on a dessert and melt some chocolate and fold it into the foamed up liquid and create some chocolate mousse instead. Or do whatever you would regularly do with some egg froth, I guess. Yeah, I just thought that was mind-blowing, so I needed to share that. Use food-saving apps like Too Good To Go, for example, to save some food from going to waste or going bad that is still in perfectly fine condition, and also save some money while you're at it, because most of the time you will actually get a really, really great deal for your money. So if you have that available in your area, give it a try. I can highly recommend it. If you plan a trip or you know you're about to go somewhere, of course, maybe not so much during the current times, but just in general, if you're planning on leaving your apartment, make sure that you only buy the amount of food that you're gonna eat within that certain time. However, if you have any leftover food that you can't really use up before you leave, either take it with you if you can, or give it to your friends or your neighbors, Or you can check out your area if they have something like a food saving box or a charity that you can just donate all of your groceries to, so you don't end up throwing them away, because that would just be a shame. And that brings me on to the end of this video. Before I leave, I just wanted to say, do whatever you can, what is in your power and things that are available to you. Don't feel bad about things that are out of your control. Just do your best and don't be too hard on yourself, because every little bit counts. But I hope you can take something away from this video. If you did, make sure to give it a like, so I know that you like this video and YouTube, the algorithm, knows as well. It would really help out my channel. Yeah, if you have anything else to add, make sure to leave it in the, not in the info box, you can't do that. Leave it in the comments below or let me know on Instagram. And other than that, I hope you have a beautiful day and I will see you in my next video. Bye!